Cancer is the result of genetic mistakes, genetic aberrations.
Cancer is unbridled growth of normal cells that is not acted upon by normal growth control mechanisms.
Cancer is probably the outcome of the processes that led to us being on Earth. If there was no such thing as mutation, if there was no such thing as genetic selection, if there was no apparatus that could promote cells to behave in the cancerous way, we'd still be single-cell organisms swimming in a sea.
Cancer is our normal life processes gone crazy. In the early 1970s, when I began my career in oncology, our strategy was what I call seek and destroy. Find it and kill it. And find it as early as you can and kill it as dead as you can.
Heretofore, we used chemotherapy, which was kind of like a sledgehammer. We'd kill the good guys and the bad guys together and hope that the good guys could recover.
When I was an intern, I took care of a woman who was 42 years old, just the nicest person in the world. Her leukemia eventually relapsed. And we tried more chemotherapy and induced basically a complete eradication of her bone marrow. We got rid of the leukemia, but we probably got rid of most of her normal blood cells as well. And she developed an infection as a consequence of that, as many people do. And she had these very high spiking fevers. She was very sick one night, and I called her husband and said, I think you ought to come down and bring the kids with you. And he came in to see her, and I said, I'm not sure how much longer she's going to be able to go like this. She saw her kids and had a chance to say goodbye to them. And then a couple hours later, she died. And you do the paperwork and talk with the family and do the best that you can to try to make sure everybody's okay. And then I just went to the call room and I had a really tough night. And I just swore there had to be a better way to do this.
In the closing decades of the 20th century, a scientific revolution transformed our understanding of basic life processes. The new field of molecular biology shed light on the interior world of cells and the genes within them. We now know that these genes, small particles of DNA, control an ongoing production line of chemicals that determine the structure, growth, maintenance, and ultimately the death of all living organisms. This knowledge has altered our view of cancer, leading to new forms of cancer treatment. In the third program of this series on cancer, we look at some of these treatments, how they were discovered, how they work, and the promise they may hold for the future.
I disagree with the term a war on cancer. That's a baloney term. It's a public relations term. Basically, what you're doing over time is bit by bit, people are learning about cancer, and bit by bit, we are using that knowledge to better treat leukemia and other cancers.
Well, I think for sure in the history of mankind, we're at the most exciting juncture in the development of novel strategies for approaching the cancer problem, whether they're prevention strategies or improved diagnostics or enhanced treatments. There's just no doubt that the remarkable fund of basic science information that's been accumulated in the last several decades and is continuing to emerge forms a remarkably exciting, fertile ground on which to think about improvements for the care of patients.
The big hope for the future is that if we understand the molecular defects inside cancer cells, we can target them and we can create drugs that specifically interfere with those defects, allowing us to kill cancer cells selectively